Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing something a little more informal than the previous tutorials. We're going to have a play around with the Minilogue and see what we can accomplish by using no oscillators. What sounds can we get out of the Minilogue without using an oscillator? We're on a initial default patch. I've already got oscillator 2 down, but let's turn down oscillator 1. So we shouldn't be able to hear anything. There's a slight click as we hear the amp triggering on, because that can be actually something that we want for the sound design. First thing we can do is use a filter. We turn the resonance all the way up. The frequency at which the filter is cutting off. It's just starting to come into range now. Okay. So that's about as simple a sound as you can get. It's close to a sine wave that the Minilogue ever gets, really. But we're playing the same pitch regardless of which key we strike. And that's because the filter is static. It's set at a certain point, and that's the point where it's cutting off. There's ways around that. We can try and move the filter as we play the keys. Not very practical though. We can turn key tracking on. Key tracking will automate the filter cutoff, so it's set to a lower frequency for a lower note and a higher frequency cutoff at a higher note. So therefore, just listening to the filter, we can now get our sine wave to accurately reproduce pitches. I don't know if you can hear, we're getting quite a click when triggering that, so if we just slightly increase the attack, we're also getting a click when it turns off, so let's maybe give it some release, decay. So what can we do to sculpt this sound? We've got the amp envelope generator, so we can influence the sound using that. We can make quite a mellow pad sound. That's something you could potentially use. We can modulate the sound with the EG in. So let's have a look at, say, a bit of attack. Might be something you want to use for a sound effect, possibly. Something that might be good in game dev. You can also modulate with the LFO. So obviously pitch, shape won't take any effect because that all affects the VCOs. But if we move it to cutoff, triangle wave, add a bit of rate and intensity so we can actually hear what it's doing. Get sustain on. Lo-fi kind of siren. Okay, square wave. Maybe rate up, int down. Okay, maybe with a higher rate. And then varying the cutoff, using the EG int, we can make an interesting sound effect. Try switching to a saw wave. Kind of like a teleport sound. Bit more EG the other way, perhaps. We could even add delay to this, because the delay section will still work. Okay, that was a bit much. We could use a sequencer to maybe record some motion, so let's give that a go. And fiddle with the filter a bit. Okay. I don't know if you noticed, but when we got down into some of the lower tones, that could be maybe turned into a tom. So let's see if we can build some drums with that. What we want is kind of quite a low tone, so let's turn the filter down. Oh, a bit too low. We'll turn the LFO off. EG int, so we want it slightly negative, so let's move it to something like -10%. Turn down the attack time a bit. So that's got the initial drop that we want from a tom. So on the amp EG we'll get rid of the sustain. So it doesn't sustain, all you've got is the decay, and then we can control the impact. So we want the impact to be a really, really short attack. On the amp we want it to be at full volume straight away. And it also gives us a little click that would maybe replicate striking the drum. And then with the key tracking on, we've then got pitched toms, so let's see if that works. Okay, that doesn't sound too bad. So we create a tom drum there without using any oscillators. There is a preset for toms on the Minilogue, but it's not based around the filter, it actually uses the oscillators. Okay, that's not a bad tom, I'm quite pleased with that, to be honest. And I guess if we push that a bit further, we can probably build a kick. I guess we just need to drop the octave further. That could work as a kick potentially. I mean, you can change the amp decay. A shorter attack on the cutoff so it doesn't change the pitch as much. Okay, so that could work. And then again we can use a delay, we can feedback that right up. Whoa. So listen to all the noise that is generated by that delay. This could be something that we can use, like a really dirty loop at the end of a track potentially. It starts off relatively sane, but then as it feeds back into itself it gets crazier. So, and then every time you alter the timing you're going to add some noise. I suppose we could add some high pitches with this. So that's fun with the filter. There is also the noise generator, so let's get the resonance back down so we're not hearing the filter. Turn the noise generator up. Okay, so here we go. We're hearing a non-pitched noise signal. What can we do with this? Maybe waves. Really long attack, really long release. Knock the sustain down a touch, really long decay. See what that does. This is with the delay on, with maximum feedback. Could be useful for effects work. With a bit of filter movement you can make it sound like waves coming in from the distance. Might be a nice undercurrent to an ambient track. So let's look at our drum kit. We already made a kick and some toms. Can we do anything with the noise generator? Let's look at maybe a snare. We want our clicky amp, so let's get our attack right down. Sustain, 0, decay, quite low. Okay. Could be something snare related. Let's close the amp envelope down a bit. That's all noise. We want the strike of the stick hitting the drum, so maybe we could then use our filter, as we did earlier, to add a little something for us there. So let's turn it to a low pitch, resonance really high. Okay. Well, the resonance too high, it's drowning out the noise, so I need to turn that down a bit until I can still hear the noise. Because we only just want a little click. That's too high pitched. Maybe there isn't really a way to add the click without losing the noise. Okay, so maybe the snare drum is not going to work. I guess the only way to do that would be to introduce a VCO. That's still really bad. Might be able to do hats. Turn up decay and release. Open hat. Like a low bitrate open hat. The only kind of usable musical things are going to be possibly the kick, possibly the tom, the sine wave lead sound, but interesting to see what we could achieve. So hopefully it'll give you some ideas of stuff you might like to do. So thanks very much for watching and take care, I'll see you soon.